Well, hello. Welcome to another Financial Friday.
Good
Listen,
evening to all my grinders. Oh yeah.
yeah, Financial Friday. Listen, we rising up from the financial slump and we are thriving in financial freedom. Financial freedom, that's like music to my ears.
Yes,
Financial
yes.
freedom. It has a ring to it too. Financial freedom. Free to
Mm,
do whatever I need to do with my finances.
yes.
I have to work on that one. I work on that one. Brother
Yeah.
James, how you doing, Brother James?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Always doing well. Just smiling, having a good time.
But wait a minute, how can you always do well? Is that even possible to always do well?
Yeah.
Yes, talk to
Me, God, and I, we know each other. So everything else just falls in line eventually.
all right. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I was just testing to see if you really believe that,
Oh yeah.
because I do agree. And one of these days, we'll get to a place where we can really understand the true power of revelation.
Yes.
Not the book of Revelation, but in Revelation.
Yeah.
Because, he talks about in Second Corinthians how he talking about eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, nor have it entered the hearts of men what good things God has prepared for them and love them. And then most of the time we stop right there.
Oh
And then if you go to the next verse, and verse after that, it talks about how God has revealed them to us by
yeah.
his spirit. And so when you're connected with God through the spirit, you're able to see things that you can't see in the natural.
Yeah.
And so even though things may be looking bad, when you're with God, you know it's all right, because when you get a revelation, that unveiling of what God had prepared for you, you always know it's a matter of time on any situation. Am I
Yeah.
getting too spooky?
Oh no, you ain't getting spooky for me. I'd have been in that situation. I
All
done
right.
had that Elijah experience where you be like, man, there's a bunch of armies circling us.
Okay.
And somebody was like, dude, let me just pray. God, if you could just open his eyes to see what we see.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's a crowd of angels just waiting for us. Like, all right, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. Now that's a good segue for our Financial Friday, because oftentimes I think people could become overwhelmed with finances or not having finances, or, you know, lamenting over finances that's gone, whether it was haphazardly used or, however it left. But when you have the revelation of you could be financially free, then it gives you all kind of options, of when it comes to financial literacy. I was watching on Netflix this show called Broke, and it was talking about how the athletes, it had all these athletes who were making these millions of dollars, 4 or 5 years after they retire, they're broke.
Yeah.
And they say that it's just, they were almost like people who win the lottery. And they said the reason for that was because they left out of college, but they had no financial literacy.
Yeah.
So they had the money coming in and they developed this lifestyle, but they didn't have the understanding about how to use money, And so Financial Fridays is about financial literacy, helping us to have options of how we can manage our money so that we can be able to have financial freedom.
Yes.
So last week we had a very powerful session last week. I was really excited about a lot of the things we talked about. The one that stand out to me the most was the formula God first. Um, um, you put aside money for your responsibilities, and then you save and you create your emergency funds and things out of what you save. And that was a great summary of the Financial Fridays and the power of financial literacy, understanding, you know, how you handle finances, because a lot of times people have that backwards. They don't save, they spend a lot of money, and then when it's time to give God His, they try to take care of their responsibilities. And most of the time they're frustrated and discouraged and disappointed because they have more month left at the end of their paycheck, of their money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've gotten paid, but now have things that they didn't pay, not because they didn't have the money, but because they didn't have the right understanding about how to structure their spending. And so that was so powerful to me, because the challenge within itself is really to trust God, because if he's going to be first, you got to know. And we kind of start talking a little bit about that on Sunday, as far as the power of knowledge when it comes to revelation knowledge. You got to know that God will give you the directions that you need in order to be able to recoup. He's not going to let you give him more than what he's going to allow you to get. And so a lot of times I think people, because they don't understand that when it comes to their debt and their budgeting, they oftentimes they have more debt than they can service, but they don't know how to get out of it because they don't want to downsize, take a step back now so they can take a leap forward later. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because some people really need that Ishmael before they understand that they could have just done well and got Isaac.
Okay, all right. Look at that boy. That boy in the spirit tonight. Well, listen. Welcome to another Financial Friday. We just chopping it up, but we were setting the stage for tonight, because tonight we want to pick up where we left off last week. And so, James, give us just a recap, and then let's go into our lesson for tonight.
Okay, so the recap is building literacy, and then starting at start, and also taking small steps. So we got to make sure that we're doing these small things, because we got to build a foundation in order to grow. No one gets anywhere haphazardly. And if you get somewhere haphazardly, you often fall haphazardly. But when you are structured and you build yourself correctly and with sound foundation, oftentimes all those things come underneath you and you can build and continue to grow. Last week, we was talking about financial literacy, about using the popcorn machine versus popping popcorn.
Okay, I like that. You just brought the popcorn machine. It made me, I had burnt my popcorn kettle, and I was still trying to use it, and it just kept getting burnt more and more. So last week, when you brought out the popcorn, I went and got me a scouring thing and got the burnt off, and I made me some popcorn as I watched the game last night on Sunday, and it was pretty good. But anyway, let me say popcorn, and it triggered me.
Man, that popcorn was so good. When I was using it as a demonstration, I actually made myself some popcorn, in the midst of it.
Yeah, I think we heard you smacking on it.
Oh man, it was some good popcorn. It was some good popcorn. But people don't understand just how the simple, small steps that we take can often lead to the greater, bigger outcomes that we can be more accomplished or more welcomed with. I mean, what makes the difference with the amount of money we get in? If I make 7-8 figures and I play for a football team and I play for 4 years making millions of dollars, or if I'm working a regular job at the 40 to 50,000, what's the difference if at the end of it we're all broke? Yeah. The difference is just our lifestyles and our literacy, our financial literacy. So that was the big thing that we need to understand, that it doesn't matter how much money you got in. It matters how you utilize that money to propel yourself to the next day.
Okay. Yeah, that's very, very true. And it's it seems very simple, and it is in nature. Oftentimes what makes it hard is that we have to overcome bad habits, or we have to overcome desires to spend, or we have to overcome, wanting to impress. You understand what I mean? Oftentimes is how we built that makes it hard. It's a very simple step, but it's how we built. We have to sometimes retrain ourselves or unlearn some things and adopt some new ways of thinking in order to really be able to take advantage of a step even that simple.
Yeah. I mean, it took me 10 years to understand something that I wrote down when I was a kid.
Okay.
And that's what I try to share with people all the time, because it's not enough that I knew it. I didn't believe it.
Okay.
And then once I believed it, it wasn't enough that I believed it. Then I actually had to do it. So that's why when people are reluctant, I can agree. Yep, I was that guy. I was reluctant. Like, man, I make enough. I got 2 jobs. I got enough money coming in. I don't know what is not working. Well, let me go back and see what is not working. Cool. Okay, now I understand what's not working.
Mm-hmm.
But me understanding it doesn't mean I'm doing it. Me understanding it doesn't mean I believe it. If I told a bunch of people Jesus died on the cross for your sins, some people would know it. Some people were like, yeah, I know. Yeah, I read the text. He died. Some people will believe. Okay, I believe Jesus died on the cross for my sins. But if they don't activate it, they'll still be angry at the world. They'll still be suffering in silence. They'll still be yelling and screaming. They'll still be angry. They still won't have a control of their tongue. Or you have a person who applies what they believe. So they got the understanding, they got the belief, now they're applying it. And then once you start applying it, God will take care of the rest. Cool. Okay, you're not going to be angry no more. Why? Because God is going to make sure that he's feeding you. And now you're not looking for a whole lot of stuff, because God is like, yo, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to give you that peace of mind. I'm going to give you that understanding. So the same thing is true with financial literacy. The more we learn, the more we believe, the more we do. And when you start doing it, then you can start seeing like it's something to this. Yeah. And then once you start producing fruit, now that's like a whole nother level. When you can produce and you're seeing it generationally, you're seeing it monthly, you're seeing it yearly, and you're seeing your produce.
Yeah. And I think that oftentimes what causes a person to be apprehensive or even doubt to a greater degree is because it doesn't make sense. When you say small steps create greater strides, if you will, it doesn't seem like that works, but it actually does. When you put it to practice and make small adjustments that, over time, in the short time, really, you'll see instant results, not necessarily the goal that you have. You know what I mean? You don't reach that goal instantly, but you do see instant results. Each small step that you take, you see instant results. Each small step that you take, instant results. And so oftentimes it's hard for people to believe in the small steps. Even I see that true with money, with people. I remember somebody stopped and bent over and picked up a penny, and somebody said, well, that's just a penny. And then they said, well, 99 more, it'll be $1. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then they would say, if it was $1 laying there, would you pick that up? So the point is, the person would be willing to pick up the $1 if it was there, but not necessarily the penny, because they saw it as too small. And I'm not advocating that we go around and pick up pennies. I'm using it as an illustration, even though the story was true. And the illustration is that, enough small steps add up to great leaps, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so, go ahead.
And I think the additive that some people may be reluctant to understand is that trains your mind. Mm-hmm. Like, being cognizant of that penny trains your mind to be cognizant of the $1.
Okay.
So when you train yourself, and that's true in a lot of things. Whenever somebody wants you to get faster and you grab a coach, mm-hmm. that coach may tell you something that but you're not applying it correctly. And he'll be like, no, this is how you're doing it. So now you're more cognitively aware of how you're doing it. Mm-hmm. When I tell people, and like I was talking about last week when we was talking about it, the formula that was there, but that ain't the whole formula that I wrote out, hey guys, this is the formula, this is how it works.
Mhm.
But when I talk about it, that wasn't the initial way I applied it. Me giving to God was first. Me knowing that the government gonna take out theirs is second. And I just had to make sure I had enough for the future. That was it. Boom, boom, boom. Cool. That's my savings. That's my emergency. That's everything I got. Then everything else, I don't care what happened. And it wasn't until I started applying those little small steps that all the other pieces start going in their rightful order. And then there you at. Now you know, okay, cool. God is always first. Cool. The government is always going to take theirs. I need to make sure that I'm living off some. I need to make sure I'm pulling myself out of debt. I need to make sure that I have an emergency. I need to make sure that I can be sane when I'm doing this. And all these things came little by little, and the chunks start going in there. Boom, boom, boom. And those are all small steps, because once your mind gets in position, you can move so much faster.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing, getting that mind in position. So Financial Fridays is about financial literacy, and financial literacy is what you need to help position your mind for greater. And so it's so important that we not take lightly, simple principles, because principles work for anybody, anywhere, anytime. And so being principle driven, if you can learn some basic principles about how to handle money, how to grow money, and you begin to apply those, then you could begin to see some massive results.
Yes.
And so, James, what's our lesson for tonight? So we had a couple of things we didn't get a chance to cover on last week that we want to be able to cover on tonight.
So our lesson now is to move forward. I'm just going to recap. We did moving forward. We already did building a legacy, and now we're starting that start.
Okay.
And the recap for starting that start is all the accoutrements that I was talking about earlier, and what we talked about last week is, where are you? That was a recap of where, because it's not enough that they're starting where I am.
Okay.
Because they may not be where I am or where I was. Is the best thing for anyone to know is, where are you? Is all your bills being paid, or are you scraping by? Have you successfully passed all your bills and you got more than enough? Are you drowning in debt? Are you drowning in credit card debt versus loans? How are you executing throughout the week? Just the week. We don't even gotta get big. So you take one whole month and you slice it into weeks. How do you look in that area? Remember, small steps. And I want to make sure that we are focused on those. Whether they put it inside the chat or they go back home, take a note and focus on where you are right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's a good question, because oftentimes when you give people direction, let's say somebody from out of town is in Milwaukee, and matter of fact, during the Kingdom Growth Conference, one of our out of town guests was in town, and they called me on the phone and say, hey, where's the hotel? I didn't tell them where the hotel was first. The first thing I asked them was, where are you?
Yes.
Because in order for me to direct you to where you're going, I have to know where you are. And so for those of you who are tuned in, listen, in order to know where you're going, you have to start with where you are. You have to be honest with where you are. And there's no shame in your game. It is what it is, whether you've had a lot of money and lost a lot of money, whether you gambled it away, or whether somebody swindled it out of you, or whether you never had any money. It really doesn't matter what your past has been, as much as it matters you knowing where you are. And so once you know where you are, then you are able to build on that and make those small adjustments to those small steps to where you want to go. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did. You said that right.
All right.
Because we need everybody to be honest with yourselves. And that's why I said, you don't got to put it in the chat room. You don't got to put it down on any comments. You can go to your book, your notebook. And my suggestion is not to think about it and like, oh, it's in my head, I got it. No, it's to actually write it down. because we often forget those things that we think about. But when you write it down, you're committed, and you say, "Hey, okay, cool. I know on this day in May, 24, it's 24, 23rd. I forgot what day, but today,
This day is 25th.
I'm like 25th. It gotta be, yeah." I know on this day, I've heard this message from Brother James. I know I make enough, right? You're right. You're writing this down. I know I make enough.
Okay.
I know that I have X amount of dollars in credit cards. So cool. I got $20,000 in credit cards. I got $50,000 in loans. Or if you bought a house, you're like, I got $214,000 in a loan. Or I got a house loan for $164, right? You're writing it down. And then that's your starting point.
Yeah.
And then the first thing is, how do I manage it? Right? Because you're going from where you are, now you go into your expenses. And the funny thing is, typically people like to start with their income. I don't. I start with my expenses because your income is already coming in.
Okay.
It's after you know where you are, then you start on your expenses.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I know how much, because oftentimes we typically have way more expenses leaving than we have income coming in. You typically have one job, or you may have two jobs. At the most, you got three jobs. But how many expenses can you have? Gas, light, electric, bills.
Yeah, bills.
B, just a whole big old B. Bills, one or two credit cards. Most people have a car loan. How about car insurance if you have a car loan? How about regular insurance? If you're a renter, you got renter's insurance. If you're a homeowner, you still have renter's insurance. So right now we're looking at about 10 different expenses going out. Mm-hmm. Not to mention those things that are creature comforts. Yes. Like gym memberships, mm-hmm. which a lot of people have because they like them. Or you got a studio membership that you like to go CrossFitting, right? These are things that add up. Some people don't do yoga or a gym, and they got the martial arts gym. It's still a gym, but they go to martial arts, or they go to yoga or Tai Chi, right? You're still doing something to do what you do. Let's say that you don't do that and you're a gamer, and now you're on video games. That means you got to buy the latest, greatest video games, or you're a computer programmer, or you're an audio video personnel, right? Right. These are all bills to extend how much expenses you have. Okay. So the biggest thing is to know is, where are your expenses? And some people may have 2 Netflix accounts. Some people may have 2 Amazon Prime accounts. Some people may be doing many things with what they have. So we want to make sure that we document, these are my expenses. And once you get up to your expenses, add in, these are my expenses that come from credit cards. Yeah. Then list all your credit cards. Then list, these are my expenses that come from my loans. Mm-hmm. And take those things into account. If you're a payday loan user, write down payday loans. Take into account that payday loans is charging you 25 to 50%, some up to 150%. Wow. If you're a credit card user, write it down. They're charging you 22% down. They're charging 15%. They got you down to 12. They're up to 4. Write it down so you can hold yourself accountable. And I say yourself because that's the person that needs to believe and apply themselves, is the same person who's writing everything down. And I want you to write it yourself because I want you to hide it. I want you to keep it and understand what's going on, because that's how we make small steps in the right direction, is by writing our expenses. If you have an accountability partner, share with your accountability partner. If you don't have an accountability partner and you're very conscious about who sees what, keep it on you. But you got to make sure that you're writing it down so your mind can see what's going on. Okay. And next, check it. How do you check it? Pull up your bank statements or pull up your multiple bank statements and check. Check how many times Netflix is leaving your account, or Hulu, or Paramount, or HBO, or Cinemax. Check how many withdrawals they're taking out. If they're taking out 2 different withdrawals, that means you have 2 different accounts.
Okay.
If they're taking out 3 different times, you got 3 different accounts. Or you may have Spectrum. Look over and say, okay, I got a Spectrum home internet, I got Spectrum phone. You want to list your bills individually. Whew. And when I say that's gonna be a who, that's gonna be a work.
Okay.
That's gonna be a lot of work for some people, not as much for others. But you have a lot of expenses, a lot more than your income.
Okay, and that's good. I wrote down some things. I was jotting some things down while you was talking, and so when we get offline, I want to talk to you about, let's create an assessment sheet, and on the assessment sheet, we'll be able to put some blanks in there for what their expenses are, but then we'll put some blanks in there for them to write down the dates that they're checking certain things. And then I'll create a confession and a prayer to go with that, so that they could begin to confess over those finances, and then be able to say a prayer. And I add some scripture in there so that we could begin to believe for, debt freedom, and freedom and financial freedom. And so we'll work on that, so we can have that for our next week. But all of those things are very good information. That's very good tips, because that's where you start. That's where you start, And again, don't be at a place where you're so ashamed, or if you got 3 Netflix accounts, you got 3 Netflix accounts, okay? You know what I mean? So then make the adjustment, you know what I mean? Make the adjustment. If you got, multiple accounts, they got commercials out now about that, where they sell, I think it's an app or something, where people, they interview a person on the street, how many Netflix accounts you got? And they say 1, and then they look and they had 3 or something. And so I'm saying that starting at start, looking at where you are, because if you have accurate information, you can make accurate decisions.
Yes.
So
yes.
Starting where you are, it's okay. Wherever you are is okay. We're going to start where you are, but we're not going to leave you where you are. Sound like the Lord to me, don't it?
That is great news. That's great news.
Let us come to him just like we are, but he won't leave us that way.
Yes.
All right, very good. Let's keep on going.
Right. The next one is your income. Now, for some people, it's one income.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's one income, be purposeful. How much do you get paid per hour? How much is your annual if your salary? And you should know these things and not guess. So if you're guessing, the best thing for you to do, and this is a 2-part thing. So if you have multiple streams of income, that's great. If you have multiple sources of income, that's great. If you have a single source of income, that's just as good. It doesn't matter how much, it doesn't matter where your income is coming in. It's all about how much you have. Mm-hmm. So for every income, you want to split it up into 2 different categories: gross and net. Mm-hmm. Now some people only live off the net. Some people understand what the gross is. So if you have a single source income and you're paid, you want to know what the gross is, because the gross tells you how much money the government is charging you. Okay, that's the kicker. And then the net is how much money you have at the end of what your taxes, insurances, and other claims may be at the end. So if you're, unfortunately, have a baby mama drama, male or female, and they're taking money out, you will see all of that on your check. So you got to be mindful. So when it comes to income, you got to be mindful. Other things that can take money out of other things that can adjust from your gross income to your net income could be any garnishments. So if you've been through a court case or you've been through a lawsuit and you believe that they're not they're not charging you. They may garnish a portion of your wages. You will see that when you look at your paycheck. Other things that the government may or may not do, or a lawyer may or may not do, is settlements, increases, bonuses, because all of these things are hitting your check, not just negative, but also positive.
Okay.
So you want to keep track of what is your gross and what is your net, because if you have a bonus, you may be hit with a 45% interest on your bonus. Even though that seems excessive, it is one of the rules when you are paying people bonuses. So you want to be mindful of those things. So as you break down your income sources, now you know what your annual or your salary is, and you know how much you actually take home.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So I wrote those things down too, some of those things. And so I want us to create, because that's kind of almost like the framework of a budget, but I want us to be able to maybe take it to another level, so we'll create a basic format, but we want it to be more of a financial assessment sheet, and we want to be able to put some encouragement in there as far as some confessions and prayers. And I'm thinking about, we're not going to have time to pull it together this week.
We got a lot.
But I'm thinking about, picking a a finance month,
Yeah.
and we'll designate a month, and the month to be centered around finances, and then we'll do like a 30-day challenge or something like that.
Okay.
So that we can see some instant results in the lives of people. So we're gonna work on that. We're gonna work on that for you, and just give you a little taste of some days to come. But next week we'll have a financial assessment sheet, just a basic sheet to help you to begin to look at where you are and be able to really assess your expenses and income. And then we'll have some other information on there that can help you, maybe some shortcuts or something like that. And there's not no real shortcuts, but a cheat sheet maybe.
Don't worry, I got some methods for them. I got methods for you.
All
I got
right.
methods for how we gonna stabilize each other and move forward. I got something for you. Don't worry, I got something for you.
We're gonna work on that. We don't want to just be on here chopping it up, telling you about finances. We want to see results. We want to see something change in your life. Yeah. And I've said my testimony over and over from the start of our Financial Fridays that my family, my life and my family, our lives has been impacted by Financial Fridays. And I can say that we have more money now on average than what we were having prior to Financial Fridays. And so we are saving money and applying the principles to our lives, making those small steps. And so that's why I know that they do work. And so my biggest challenge was the challenges that I said most people have. And that was, the habits that I had, And so, it's easier for me to just stop and get something to eat than to come home and cook, But making those adjustments and figuring out different ways to do the things that I want, the popcorn in the store is a little different than the kind come out of my popcorn machine. It is a little different, mine don't come out exactly like the one in the bag, but it is just as good. Yeah. How's that?
Yeah. I think it reminds me of when I was telling somebody how much I pay to get my haircut, which I'm not going to disclose right now.
Okay,
so I gotta get my haircut. And he was like, how much it costs? So I told him how much it costs. He was like, man, with that, I could buy my own clippers and do my own hair. And I was like, yeah, but if you're not that good, you gonna hack off some hair. like this is your hair. He was like, yeah, but all it takes is like 5 to 6 visits, and I pay for my my clippers. And I was like, That does make sense. It makes sense.
It makes sense only if you got hair like mine. When you got hair like mine, see, I can cut my own hair. You know what I mean? I can cut my own hair, because I do have hair. My grandbaby say, "Granddad, you ain't got no hair." I'm like, "Look right there, I got hair." Yeah, you have to choose the areas you want to save money in, because you can't mess around and mess up your own hair. But if you got a steady hand and you a quick learner, if that's a desire that you have, you might be able to do it. I have to have my wife look at the back of my head. Usually I can feel it to see, make sure I ain't got no nubs back there. But there's very few times I ask her to look at it where she don't point out I missed the spot. So I did to trim up the front. I don't know how you're gonna shape the back up, but I know there's people that do it though.
But I was laughing because he actually watches the show. So when you do watch it, he's gonna give me a text like, "Yeah, I see you." Like, "Yeah, I see you. I see you."
Listen, like I say, I am not saying don't cut it yourself. Now maybe you can get some clippers and cut some other people's hair, and then pay for the clippers, and then even be able to make money going on after you pay for the clippers. But if you're good, you can. I know a couple of people who cut their own hair growing up.
See, that's why I got a little budget called the Sanity. See, I got Sanity in there. That's why I got Sanity. Like, what you use Sanity for? Cutting my own hair. No, I'm gonna use Sanity. I budgeted in there. It's assigned. I'm gonna look at my haircut. I get my haircut, I think twice. Hold on, I shouldn't say that. I get my haircut about every 2 weeks because I know that there's 26 weeks versus 24 weeks. Yeah. So every 2 weeks I'm getting my haircut. But I budgeted getting my haircut.
And I think that's one of the areas. And again, it depends on who you are. I'm not going against anyone who wants to cut their own hair, as long as you have the capability of doing that. And for the ladies, look, I'm definitely not coming against ladies, because I love it when my wife go get her hair done, and she chooses when she get her hair done to save money, but I'm okay with her going every week if she wanted to, because I like how she look when they get her hair done. I like how she look if her hair ain't done, Anyway, I like how she look anyway. I just say that, but I'm just saying that. There's areas you have to be intentional about the areas that you choose to save money in. And if cutting your hair is not one of them, or getting your hair done is not one of them, that's okay. But there's some other areas that you can save money in as well.
Yeah.
How's that? Did I clean that up?
That was a lot cleaner, because I want everybody to know. No, I think there's a possibility, but I'm not trying to teach you how to be cheap.
Okay.
The idea is not to be cheap, it's to be mindful.
Right.
Because you don't reach financial literacy by eating dirt every single day and starving yourself. That's not the way to financial literacy. Right. Financial literacy is I'm utilizing my money effectively so I can have a return on it, not only for today, but also in the future. That's financial literacy.
Right. Because the goal is financial freedom, right?
Yes, the goal is freedom.
Being in a position where money is not, you might have some problems or some challenges, but money is not one of them.
Yeah, money is not your major factor to tell you where you're going or how you getting there.
Right.
Money is merely a tool in which we're utilizing in order to get to point A to point B.
And so that's what we're stressing here. It's not, like you say, we're not trying to, teach people how to eat dirt.
If you people that I had 3 grass pieces a day, I had some ramen noodles. I'm like, bro, that's not what I'm teaching you.
The ramen noodles though. I know people who like ramen noodles. So if you like ramen noodles, you eat them because you like them, not because that's all you could afford. It's always, So
for all my college kids, let me throw a shout out for all my college brothers. I know how it is. You got to put some hot dogs in that ramen noodles and make it work. I understand. Okay. However, if you understand the small steps, you can make it work and make it taste real good. So So I'm not clowning on ramen noodles. I like ramen noodles. I eat ramen noodles. I still eat ramen noodles.
Okay.
Okay. It's just I want to make sure we put that out there. Like, ramen noodles is not.
We're
Ramen
just
it's still
making better choices because you can have money for whatever the top pasta dinner is. However, it doesn't mean that right now is the time to have that dinner.
Yeah.
And so we're just saying being mindful and making better choices, setting yourself up for a time where money is not your challenge. And that's what we're going for. We're being mindful so that we can make better choices to set us up for a better tomorrow versus living the best that we can today and then have a horrible tomorrow.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah. A famous story that I told people was that when I was younger, I had 2 jobs and I was bringing in over $12,000. And I was also spending $12,999, and I left like a penny in my account because I had a different mindset. My mindset was not connecting with what I understood or believed. It was just like, I know I got money and it's burning a hole in my pocket. We just got to make those small adjustments, those small steps to get to where we need to be. So I'm in agreement.
Okay. All right. So we talked about where start where you are and start and making the small steps, being honest as you look at your financial assessment when it comes to your expenses and your income. And we talked about looking at all parts of your expenses as well as the different parts of your income. And so then we're reiterating the fact that it's all about taking small steps. It's not about turning everything around overnight. It's about making small adjustments. And so it's important that as you hear different pieces that resonate with you, that you don't put off that you're going to start next week, that you make a decision that you're going to start as soon as you hear it, And so you want to get in the habit of making the adjustments as you get information to make the adjustments, and not say, well, next week I'm gonna start, or next month I'm gonna start. No, you need to start right now.
Yeah.
All right.
And remember, it's not about perfection. Let's say you do your expenses and you put down 20 things, right? This isn't about perfection, because when you come back next month, you're like, I forgot something, I gotta quit. No, don't quit.
Yeah.
Make the adjustment.
Right.
You see the problem, make the adjustment, keep yourself moving. No one goes full speed on a bicycle on their first run. Right. You still got to learn how to pedal. Yeah. You still got to learn how to keep yourself balanced. Yeah. And once you get those things, now you can take off, and now you sprint down there like you Neil Armstrong. But you got to get yourself moving first. So if you are moving, let me teach you how to run correctly. And if you're not moving, let me teach you how to get up and balance yourself off. And if you got the balance, well, let me teach you how to pedal faster. And if you already know all this, then that's exactly where I would like you to be.
All right. Well, listen, we're about almost out of time. There's a couple of great events that's coming up that we wanted to kind of talk about. And the first one is the men's
brunch.
The men's brunch. So the Jericho Transformers ministry, that's our men's ministry, is going to have Hidden Father Figures, father and son brunch, Saturday, June 15th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And it's going to be at Jericho, 8086 North 76th Street. And it's a $5 cost. You can scan that QR code in order to register. So, James, tell us a little bit about the Hidden Figures, the Hidden Fathers figure.
So you need to come there. It's going to be a wonderful male speaker talking about the nuances of being a father, the nuances of being a son, how we have different relationship, how we have different generational views, how we still got to come together and collaborate. I think the best quote I can give you, or the best word that I can think of, is your father is the only person who actually wants his son to do better than him.
Okay.
So I do honestly believe that. I do cherish those moments that when I talk to my big brothers and I talk to my fathers, my role models, they actually do want me to propel myself to be better than what they are. Because every father want to be the foundation or the launching pad for what his kid can do. Yeah. So if you're in town and you like eating, which I do, and I like listening, which I do, you like learning and getting better, that's the place to be.
Okay.
I wouldn't charge $100, but $5 is good. $5.
So who all is invited?
Everybody.
Well,
come
everybody.
Yeah, everybody's invited.
The ladies is invited too?
Yeah, they can serve.
So you just
but no. This is strictly for the man, and that's it. All the fathers and father sons, if you hear this, if you are a male or if you are a man, you are welcome to come and attend.
All right. Okay, very good. Then the other event we got coming up is the entrepreneur workshop.
Yes.
So the entrepreneur workshop was scheduled for tomorrow, Saturday, the 25th. However, we're going to postpone it until June, and we'll have some more information coming up. And so our original date was for Saturday the 25th, but we're going to postpone that one. We've added another layer, and so I thought I was going to have it all together by then, but I don't. And this next one is going to be about digital marketing, and we're taking it up a notch. And so I'm really excited about the future of our entrepreneur workshops.
Yes.
So those are exciting things. And so, James, we got about 10 minutes left in our show. And so we did a great recap, and we added some great information going forward. And we made a commitment to create a financial assessment sheet for our next broadcast, and we'll make that as a free download. And what else do we got going on when it comes to financial literacy? I know we're still working on the book, and it's been is in my ballpark.
Don't worry, I'm here to help you, though. I'm here to help you.
I didn't realize what all was on my schedule while I was making all of them promises, but reality showed up, and so we're still committed to getting that done. And so, what else do we want to close out with on our Financial Friday for this?
I think to me, it's not a cliche. It's just something in which we've done, but I don't know. Like when I say good evening to all my grinders, right? That's like a mantra.
Okay.
And if everybody had like their own mantra, like I like the mantra, I think everyone, if you had a mantra, like you woke up every day and you say the same thing to yourself, it becomes something that's self-fulfilling inside of yourself. Like your mind clicks in and it does it. So when I say, how you doing, all my grinders? My mind is telling me, no, I'm talking to myself. I got to grind this out. When I look at Proverbs, the 15th chapter, I think it's Proverbs 15:1, it says, a soft tongue turns away wrath, right? And I got to remind myself that if my tongue is too harsh, right? If it doesn't come out right, I gotta make sure I'm doing my due diligence to get everything in line. So man, I can't begin to tell people that, but yes, no matter where you are, no matter how you see yourself, focus on just yourself, on getting a better you. Because when you stop trying to be everybody and just be yourself, the better you is right there. It's just, if you just look left, you can see the better you, and you just got to bring it out and then showcase it.
Okay. When we talk about grinding, you see I got on my grinder shirt. Let me see if I can pull my screen down a little bit.
Oh yeah, I see the grinders.
What is that?
Because no one else is gonna do it for you.
All right.
Yeah, there you go.
That's from Now You're Talking Tees. And so when you talk about creating that mantra, that's so important, because when you talk about grinding, and no one else is going to do that for you.
Yeah.
And so I wrote that down as a note. But you definitely want, I don't remember the total story, but it was this salesperson that, really sucked at selling. See, James is rubbing out on me. He was so loseristic. When it came to selling, he was just a dirtbag.
I'm not the best at selling.
And they didn't, no way that he was going to make it. But he decided that he was going to be the number one salesperson, even though he was considered a loseristic, he was considered a dirtbag. He was, even though, nobody believed that he can even be in the business. I believe there was people who tried to get him to quit. But he said every day he would look in the mirror before he left, and he would tell himself that he was a great salesperson and that he was going to sell X amount of products today. And that went on for some time, and it only got worse for him. But then one day he went out, and do you know that he became the number one salesperson?
Wow.
And so telling yourself, talking to yourself, looking in the mirror and having that mantra that you actually believe. Because one of the things I'm going to be talking about in our new series, and I've said it before, and that is behavior follows belief. And so if you want to change your behavior, you have to change what you believe. And a lot of times what people don't realize is that the reason they behave the way they behave, reason they spend money the way they spend money, is because that's what they believe. So if you change what you believe, you will change your behavior. And it starts with you, telling yourself, you have to speak to that inner you, and believe in yourself, that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you, that you can do it, that is in you, that you're not a loser, you're not a dirtbag, and so you need to have things. I have things everywhere, in my car, in my office, even on my computer here. I have a very powerful confession that I have right on my computer right here, that every time I sit in front of this computer, I make this confession, throughout my time before the computer. And I spend quite a bit of time on the computer, with this is really, this particular computer I'm on right now is where I study at. And, I have all kind of research on this computer. And if you looked at around my computer, you'll see books. I got different books that I have open where I've left off at, different things I have circled. But the point that I'm making here is that, you have to have around you, different things that you can say to encourage yourself and build yourself up. All right, listen, we are about out of time. Mr. J, has been a great show again. And I pray those of you been tuning in have really been learning some things, not only learning, but applying some things that you learned. And listen, why don't you write in the chat right there as we close out, if you learned something through Financial Fridays, or if Financial Fridays have been a blessing to you. Why don't you put something in the chat, say, pop something in the chat to encourage others, because sometimes we look at somebody else and we see where they are and we think, oh, I'm never going to get to that place, but you can get there. Ain't that right, Mr. J?
Yes, you can. You can definitely get there.
Yeah, you can definitely get there.
Yes, I believe everyone can get to where they believe that they can get there.
There you go again. So we just talked about that, right? Belief and behavior. So your behavior will get you there if you can change what you believe about yourself, right?
Yeah. If you can see it, if you can understand that it can be you, because some people got that bad understanding. Okay. Understand first it can be you, then believe it can be you. And all you got to do is take a couple steps in the right direction. There you go.
There you there. And that's why, when the Bible talks about in Romans chapter 12, it talks about renewing your mind, and you have to renew your mind about things, because we've been conditioned in this world to believe, outside of ourselves, that everything that we're able to become is outside of ourselves. But the reality is that outside of ourselves doesn't have the greatest impact in our life. It's what's on the inside of us that has the greatest impact. And so what you believe about yourself is greater than what anybody else believe about you, or anything outside of yourself can dictate to you. And so you really have to, that's why being in the right environment is important, and having people in your life that push you, is important. I thank God for the people in my life that pushes me, because oftentimes, I'll get to a place where I think, all right, this is cool right here, but it's so much greater that I can accomplish. And so because I got people in my life that's pushing me, it gives me the opportunity to go even higher. And so our Financial Fridays is all about pushing us to be financially free. Well, I believe we're just about out of time. Let me look and see where we at.
Yeah, we are. I just got to look at. I just got to look at like, ooh, we gonna cut it close.
Well, any closing comments?
Yeah, I love all my grinders. So by that, you can always call me brother. We here for you. I'm here for you. We are here for you.
Oh, that's so touching. So he sounds like a Hallmark card. Well, listen, all I would say is, listen, you can do it. You can do it. You can do this. And so, listen, don't give up on yourself. Keep pushing. If you miss it, just keep swinging. Keep swinging. You will get a hit. Just keep swinging. The Bible tells us the importance of not giving up. It says that we will reap if we don't faint, if we don't give up, if we don't give in, if we don't give out. And so it's so important that you keep trying. I know sometimes it can be hard, and sometimes you've tried it and it didn't work. But remember in the Bible when Jesus asked Peter to cast his nets out, and he said, man, I've been out here all night and I ain't caught nothing. He said, Jesus, listen, you a preacher, but I'm a fisherman. He said, you know your way around the Old Testament, but I know my way around these waters. And I'm telling you, ain't nothing out there. And Jesus said, cast it on the right side. And the Bible said that he cast it out again and he brought in that drought. And so I'm telling you, you might have been out fishing all day. You might have been doing this all your life and you have not gotten any fish. You haven't got no fruit from it. But I'm telling you, like Jesus, you cast it out again. Because one of these times you're going to pull it in and you're going to be saying, yeah, that preacher told me. Well, listen, we are out of time. Thank you again for tuning in to Financial Fridays. Our goal is financial freedom. We want to get you out of that financial slump so that you can get into that you can live in financial freedom. So listen, we look forward to seeing you on next Friday as we take it up just a little higher. You want to be here next Friday for that. We're going to hook you up with that financial assessment sheet. So we'll look forward to seeing you on next Friday on Financial Friday. Peace.